How fast can you assemble a Rubik's Cube? I mean, we all love speed solving, so why not speed assembly? Let's get started with the 3x3. Now you can use whatever cube you want, even a magnetic one, so long as all the pieces are more or less detached to begin with. Once you've completed your visual inspection, no organizing the pieces or anything, you put your hands on the timer, and away we go. Now there's no need to assemble the cube into a solved state, so long as all the pieces are fully together in the end. I think that's a perfectly valid assembly. I really like the layer by layer method. So you start with the cross, just like normal, then put in the first layer corners, just like this. And then you go ahead and move on to the middle layer edges. There we go. I like to put 3 of them in, leave the last one empty. That way we can move right onto the last layer, alternating edges, then corners, then edges, then corners. Once we get this far, we can put that last middle layer edge in, the last 2 corners, and then the last edge. And there is a fully assembled 3x3 after 35.45 seconds. Now I think I can get a little better of a time if I try again without talking. So let's go ahead and take this cube apart again and get ready to begin solve 2. So once again, make sure all the pieces are fully disconnected. Do a quick little inspection in 3, 2, 1, go. You think we can get sub 30? Ah, not quite. 31.6, still a pretty good time though, but why don't you say we round things out with an average of 5? Ah, there we go. Easy sub 30, 29.6. Let's try it again. All right, 29.79. Ooh, that one was speedy, 26.12. That's my new PB. And that also gives us a brand new PB average of 5. Just over 30 seconds. I'm sure I could bring that down to around 28 with a few more solves, but right now, I think it's time to move on to the 2x2. Personally, I would almost never take apart a 2x2 without using a screwdriver. A lot of these pieces just aren't meant to be forced apart by hand, but you know, I'm willing to take some risks today for the name of speed, so don't try this at home. But now that everything is fully disassembled, we can do some quick inspection and begin in 3, 2, 1, go. Now the hardest part of assembling a 2x2 is actually the very beginning. You have this one corner section that's kind of locked into place, and depending on your cube, it can be pretty tricky to get these first few pieces assembled. This one is pretty difficult. You can tell it's difficult because we now have one corner piece in, and that's about how long it took to assemble the entire 3x3. But now, from now on, it's pretty much just like a 3x3. We put the first layer edges in, then we can move on to the first layer corners, then the middle layer edges, and then onto the last layer here. And there we go. Most of the time you can't force the last corner piece in like that, but I have loosened this 2x2 to the point where it is possible. But now that I'm warmed up, I'm gonna try for one more quick solve without any distractions. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, almost sub 45, new PB by a long shot. I think that's about the best I'm gonna get. I'm not gonna do a full average of 5 on the 2x2. This thing is pretty annoying to assemble, and we already have a pretty painful event coming up next. The 4x4. Now apparently 10 million of you already saw me do this on Soup Timmy's channel. I'll link to that short if you haven't already seen it. But long story short, I was going for sub 5 minutes and I came up just a little bit short with 5:14. That was part of the inspiration for making this video. Let's see if I can redeem myself in 3, 2, 1, and go. Much like the 2x2, the hardest part of this assembly is the very beginning. You have all these ridiculous little inner pieces that just do not want to stay in place. You have to be extremely careful, they're so fragile. And there we go. That was a much better start than I got last time. We got these first 2 sections of inner pieces in, and as long as they don't collapse right now, we are now off to the races, and we can get all the rest of the pieces in. And now that we have this full corner section built up, things are much less likely to collapse on us, and it is much faster to move on from here. All right, halfway after 3 minutes, I'm going full concentration mode on this thing. All right, 4 minutes and 36 seconds. Not gonna lie, that was one of the most stressful cube assemblies of my life, but that was quite a bit faster than the 5:14 from before. I think sub 4 minutes is theoretically possible, but I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna practice enough to get that fast. But I think I'm happy with that one solve. That was more than enough even layered pain for today. So let's move on to something surprisingly quite a lot easier. A 5x5. So the cool thing is, a 5x5 has literally the same mechanism as a 4x4, except you have none of those annoying little inner pieces, which actually makes things a lot easier to work with. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if this went by faster than the 4x4. So now that we finally got everything separated, let's go ahead and do some inspection, and then begin in 3, 2, 1, go. So now you can see instead of those tiny little inner pieces, we now have these massive outer pieces to work with, which just makes things a lot easier to start out with. It's funny, when all the pieces look so similar like this, you almost gotta do a little bit of look ahead. Like as you're putting one piece in, looking and finding the next compatible piece to grab. And here we go, last few pieces. Like I was saying, so much easier than the 4x4. It's literally the exact same process, except the pieces are so much bigger and easier to hold on to. Okay, lightning round. How fast can you assemble a 3x3 while only using one hand? I'm gonna use my right hand because there's no algorithms to do. So let's go ahead and begin in 3, 2, 1, go. Definitely gonna have to do some table abuse on this one. Now I guess this cube has pretty strong springs because those first few pieces were very hard to get in. They just wanted to spring out on me. But now that I'm onto the last layer here, it has been a lot easier, except this last piece might be a little bit tricky. So that torpedo in there. There we go, 146.1. Definitely improvable with a more cooperative cube, but now let's try 3x3 blindfolded. So I'll just make sure this is covering my eyes, and now we can go ahead and reach for the timer and begin in 3, 2, 1, and go. Hopefully we don't lose a piece. Of course, there's nothing you really have to look at as you're assembling a cube. It's just as we get closer and closer to the end, it's more and more difficult to find the type of piece that I'm looking for. Like, where is the last corner? Oh, there it is. Okay, that took like 10 seconds to find. And the last edge, stick that in right there. Okay. 1 minute and 24 seconds, so faster than one-handed, but still obviously a minute slower than doing it normally. I think with some practice, you could probably get that under 1 minute. Okay, next up, one by one. As you can see, it just exploded into all of its pieces. Let's make sure they're all fully disassembled, and now we can do some inspection. And then start in 3, 2, 1, and go. 0.22, new PB. And I teased this in the intro, you know I have to do it, 13 by 13. Okay, I'm mostly joking, but as you just saw, I have taken this puzzle apart, and I did make a video where I timed myself putting it back together. I'm not gonna spoil how long it took, but I'll link that video in the end card if you wanna find out. It is a pretty satisfying time lapse. Anyway, that's pretty much it. If you try any of these events yourself, be sure and let me know down in the comments what your best times are, single and average, but I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.